Bonjour mes élèves. This week I'm going to send you a recording on how to complete lesson 707 and 708 that you have due while I am away. Keep in mind next week we have our spring break. It's a great time to work on catching up if necessary. And when we get back from spring break, your lesson 709 DBA will be due. So I'm also going to show you where you can go to review for that before it is actually due. So let's start with 707. Plus de pronouns. A little bit more pronouns you're going to be learning about. You're going to learn how to use disjunctive pronouns to add emphasis in a conversation. All it means is relaying the fact that someone is doing something. So just really emphasizing that they are doing it. For example, in French, we like to say, he speaks French, he does, or you speak French, you. Right? So it's basically just saying who is doing that action more than once within a given sentence. So I'm also going to include a couple of YouTube videos that you can check out, but I'm going to click through the lesson first to show you how to use the lesson to learn this topic, and then I'll show you those YouTube clips. So in English, you would emphasize a word by putting stress on it as we say it. So it's like when you raise your voice for a question, or say a little louder for an exclamation. Here, it's emphasizing the word itself. So instead of saying he's going, like, oh yeah, he's going to the party. He's going to the party, I'm really emphasizing the word he in the sentence. In French, instead, we would add words into a sentence to make that emphasis. So for example, if I'm talking only about myself, I would use moi. If I'm talking about someone else, like you're going to the party, you, I would use toi. He's going to the party, he is, I would use lui. She, I would use elle. Nous, I would use it again, same one. Vous, pretty easy, right? They are going to the party, they are, eux, and then elle if it's feminine plural. So I'll show you guys this again one more time. Let's look at the examples for now. I like this example. Je ne sais pas moi. I don't know, me. As in, I don't know the answer. I don't know. In English, we would just emphasize the word I, but in French, we say I again, pretty much, at the end of the sentence, or me. So let's look at some examples here. Oftentimes, you're either going to put this kind of word at the beginning of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. Okay, while it's loading, I'll show you. Oh, there we go. Okay, so these are just some examples that you would see of how they're used. They're making sandwiches. They're making sandwiches. Ils font des sandwichs. Eux. Tu aimes ça, toi? You like that? Tu aimes ça? Moi, je vais rester chez moi. Me, I'm going to stay at home. Right? So notice how it's either at the end of the sentence or at the beginning of the sentence. That's usually where we'll place them. Okay, so let me show you from the YouTube clip, which I really like. I would take a moment to write this down. I paused it here on this first YouTube clip. It's also on the other one. Both of them are pretty good explanations of how these are used, and they give you a lot of examples. So anytime I want to say, oh yeah, me, I do this, I would use moi. You emphasize with toi. Him, lui, elle. Soi, this is not important for you to know right now. We actually don't use it until French 2, so don't worry about it. Nous, we do this for ourselves, so us or we. Vous, you, formal or you all. Eux, them or they, and then elle, them or they. Right? So you can pause this video if you need to write these down. Here is the other YouTube video, and I just paused it on the exact same thing, where it tells you if you see je being used in the sentence, the pronoun is moi. If you see il being used in the sentence, the pronoun is eux. So that's what we want to pay attention to. If I was saying, oh yeah, Mark and Maria are going to the party, they are going to the party, it's more than one person, masculine and feminine, I would use eux. If I was saying, oh yeah, you and your friends are going to the party, it's you and your friends, you all, I would use vous. Think about this one. Oh yeah, me and Maria are going. If it's me and Maria, what form would I use here? If it said moi et Marie, moi et Marie, would be the new form. So that would be the correct disjunctive pronoun to use. If it said moi, toi et Marie, moi, toi et Marie, me, you, and Marie, who would it be then? Well, it's still including me, and it's also including you and Marie, so it would still again be we. So that's what you might see on the quiz for 2.07. They'll ask you, okay, which one would you use to replace that? Let's look at the practice, because I think the practice in this lesson is pretty good. Okay. So for this practice, you want to match what's in the word bank to the bold word, the word in bold. What would be the best replacement? So for number one, for example, they do tennis. They do tennis. They do. What would be the best example? So based on what we saw here, you should have these written down and their meanings, right? Nous. Would nous, us, replace they? Probably not. Would you all replace they? Probably not. Sophie and you all, with they? Probably not. Eux. What does eux mean again? All right, let's look. Eux means they, right? So let's see if that's the right answer. Almost, it's elle et lui, right? So here, we want to pay attention to which one would best match with the person. Vous regardez un beau film. You all watch a good film. Sophie et toi. Sophie and you watch instead of vous. Nous allons chez Alain et Pierre. We're going to their house. Nous allons chez eux. And we use eux because Alain and Pierre are two guys. What about this one? Je préfère rester à la maison. I prefer to rest at home. We would say, which one would it be? Nous, vous, Sophie et toi, eux, elle et lui, ou moi? Right? Based on what we saw here, moi, right? So, moi, je préfère rester à la maison. Right? And that's pretty much what that quiz is going to be about for 7.07. Okay, so that, what we just talked about, is usually used in more spoken French, spoken language, and what we're going to do here is do a little bit of reading, la lecture. So after completing this lesson, you'll be able to comprehend some spoken French. You're going to read, and you have a writing assignment to do for this one. It's based on a story about a family that goes camping. So in order to make sure that you understand what the story is about, of course, click on the audio and listen to the audio as you read through the story. Break down each paragraph. So after you read the first paragraph, decide what is the main idea of this paragraph? What am I learning from it? And do so with each of the other paragraphs. Look for vocabulary that you've learned to understand that paragraph better. Then you'll do the practice to listen, so you can listen to see if you understand what they're saying, and then type in what you hear. So let's do one example here. Right. So they ask a question to the person is answering. So you can type your sentence here or say it in your head what you think they were saying and then click on the answer to see what it was. It's really good listening comprehension practice. The one awesome thing that I see on this page that I'm sure many students look over is the vocabulary review sheet. Check this out. Oh man, look at all that vocabulary. You could print this out and have a wonderful vocabulary list. So please do not overlook that. Okay, so now we have the lecture written assignment. And some of you might be like, well, where is the reading that I'm supposed to read? It is in the lesson. So you have to make sure you go back into the lesson and read through it carefully. Let's take a look at the questions here to make sure we know what we're looking for when we go back and read the story again. So, of course, the directions say respond to the questions based on what you read in la lecture about the family in the photo. Answer incomplete sentences using the French you have learned in this course. Very important. Réponds aux questions avec des phrases complètes. Answer with complete sentences. Numéro 1. Où va cette famille pendant les vacances? Où va cette famille pendant les vacances? So I'm going to show you how I break down questions to form answers. I know où means where. Va is the verb aller, where goes, which you just reviewed in the previous lesson for the futur proche, 706. Where goes this family during the vacation? So I go back in the lesson, in the lecture, figure out where it is that they go. I'm going to form my answer. I'm going to pretty much use almost every single word in this question to form my answer. So once again, this question says, where goes this family during the vacation? This family goes blank during the vacation. Right? So I use the exact same words to make the answer. Question number 2. Quel temps fait-il? They're asking about the weather, not the temperature, not what time it is. Quel temps? What weather does it? What's the weather like? It does, and I tell you the weather. Il fait, and the weather. Que porte son oncle et sa tante? What wear her uncle and her aunt? So what are they wearing? Her uncle and her aunt wear, and the answer, right? So see if you can do 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Number 6, play close attention. Pourquoi ou pourquoi pas means why or why not. You have to answer in a complete sentence using answering they do or they do not do these activities because, and so on. Okay, the last thing I want to make sure that you know of is where the review for your DBA is. So of course, you can go ahead and click onto the 7.09 and you'll have a list of all the bullet points of what it is that you need to know for your DBA. Some of the most important things that we will discuss are vocabulary related to weather, vocabulary related to activities, which I believe is in 703 and 704, right? You do have to make sure you know how we use de, du, la, des, and de l'apostrophe. You do also have to know a little bit about how making sentences are negative and how to create the near future, which is very important as well. So those are the main topics we'll talk about. Let's go to the home page. I'm going to show you where the video review is for your DBA. Oops, went too far. French 1 Help Center. Always use the French 1 Help Center. And scroll down to Module 7. And there it is, Module Review. You can download that and check it out. Pay attention to, look at all these other things. Futur Proche in 5 minutes. If you're stuck on Futur Proche still, we have a live lesson, reviews. We got a help video. You have weather expressions. You can download these different lists. And of course, the note-taking guide. Lots of things to help you here. Again, I will be out of the office this Tuesday, and I will be back when we get back from spring break. Bon vacances!